Peace and good morning. All right, another transparent moment. All right, when I tell you everything happens when it happens, when you're trying to do something and it just looks crazy and bananas on the back end. For those that do podcasts and or go Facebook Live, you understand what I mean. Because when you go live, you want everything right. You know what I'm saying? You want everything so right to where it's wrong in the beginning. It's crazy. It's wrong in the beginning. Just like right now, I'm seeing the latency and stuff like that in the live, but whatever. We're gonna talk about it. So just go ahead and give me an emoji, a thumbs up, a good morning, or something, or whatever it is that you have that's in you. Pull it out of you, because we're gonna pull this out today. We're gonna talk about this and we're gonna pull this out. So the two people that I see right now, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. All right, so we're going on a series right now for talking about humility. We're going to talk about humility, and all right, another transparent moment. I'll have a lot of transparent moments. I do, because it kind of allows me to flush things out of my head and get things out of my system, just to be, sometimes people need honesty and transparency, and for me it's really just me getting it out in the air and out in the open. So transparent moment, yesterday, after yesterday's show, um, it's like I had to detox. I had to um push out the things that I was speaking about yesterday, because yesterday's lesson on humility was deep for me, and it was so deep that it was weighing real heavy on me. And because it was weighing so heavy on me, I had to begin to let things go. I Miss Hope. Happy New Day to you too, as well. Um, it was so heavy that it was beginning to take on an emotional state. It was so heavy to begin to take on that emotional state, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like my body wanted me to cry from the release of the message of humility, and it was so heavy, and I didn't know the why. I didn't know why it put me in that state of mind, but I just had to release it because it was like a pressure, and because I released that pressure, uh it it allowed me to prepare myself for this one, for today's message, and we're just gonna get into it. All right, so let's go back. If you was here yesterday for yesterday's message on humility, putting your humility on display, put in the comment section what were your takeaways. What was one of the things that you remembered about humility? If you remember about the etymology of humility, put that inside the message, so one, I can understand that you're listening and you're learning something, because I've learned more about humility than I've ever understood humility ever before. And again, it just made things real thick for me. So let's go back to the definition of humility. And we're going to tap into the etymology first. Of course, the etymology of humility, again, it goes back to the foundation of humus, Humus. Humus. Humus means earth. And humulus, Humilis, or two L's. Humulus means low or to the ground. Again, for those who know people that are humble and humble people, and what do we say about them? We say, man, they down to earth. Again, I didn't know why we said it. Just like some of you that heard yesterday's message, it just began to hit just a little bit different, just to hear about, okay, this is why we say this person is down to earth, because the origin of the word itself, the foundational side of humanity is really earth and down to earth. So if you ever wondered why you said it, That is why. Because it is defined in the foundational fabric of humanity, of humility, uh is down to earth. All right. There you go. I had to get that out. I had to get that out. So let's go into today. I'm not gonna be long today, but I do want to, put some things that's out there. So let's talk about the components of humility. The components of humility, I had to make sure I say it right. I kept listening to yesterday, I kept saying humility. I mean, I'm from North Carolina. We say things just a little bit different. But humility, for those who like to say, well, you have this, there's a T in there. You have to say humility, not humility. So I will correct that. And that's what being humble is about. That's what humility is about. To say, I don't know it all, or I'm not so far from correction. That is another form of humility, of knowing that it is okay to not know everything, that it is still okay for you to learn. Again, like we said yesterday, there are lessons in the lessons learned. And the lessons learned really becomes your experience. And from that experience, you have the ability to what? To change the trajectory or the outcome, because the execution of what you were doing changed and you've learned from it. And now you have the ability to move on from it after you've acknowledged that you didn't know. So, humility. So, the four components of humility. All right, the first one is acknowledgement. So, the first component of humility is acknowledgement. And that goes back into what I was saying before, acknowledgement that you don't know everything and you're still teachable. Humility is a teachable moment. How many of you have ever been in that teachable moment that you've learned something after you've closed your mouth? How many of you have ever been in that teachable moment that you've learned greater lessons when you closed your mouth and allowed yourself to hear what was really being said, that allowed you to be in that teachable moment, that allowed you to even learn at a much more faster and a much more greater speed, because the experience became different from you, because you acknowledged that, okay, let me sit myself down and let me learn what this person is really saying. Or let me learn in this moment to say it's not about me, it's about the message. Or it's not about me, it's about the experience. Or it's not about me. Let me ensure that I allow this person to speak, because if I allow this person to speak and I'm not stepping on every word that they say, I may learn something. And because I've learned something, it has definitely allowed me to remain teachable, because I'm not tearing down the moment, but I am uplifting the experience, because the upliftment of the experience will allow me to continue to be teachable. And I think a lot of times we're not teachable because oftentimes we lack the component of humility. And I guarantee you, when you enhance your component of humility and understand that there has to be an acknowledgement there in order for you to begin to enhance the room, or to enhance the message, or to enhance the experience of that moment. So the very first component of humility is acknowledgement, to remain teachable. All right. The second one is acceptance. Acceptance. You have to understand that humility is actually a character strength. I'm sure some of you, especially military or those who have taken some sort of um, like resiliency class or something like that, where you have to take this test about your character strengths, and it really gives you, you know, what are your character strengths after you take this exam. Humility is a character strength. It really is. Why? Because you have the ability to accept that it's not about you either in that moment, or to accept it's not about you when it came to the nature of what was going on in that moment when you were in that space. So humility is actually a character strength. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of you being a punk, or it's not a sign of you don't know what's going on, because it puts you in the space and it puts you in the room to where you're learning at a much more faster rate, because you have accepted your character strength of humility, which can change the temperature in the room. Have you ever been in a room and you're around someone, or you're around a group of people and it's real tense in the room? It feels real heavy, and it makes conversations real hard, especially if you got a bunch of A-type personalities inside the room, and it gets real heavy because everybody is trying to be the lion in the room. Everyone is trying to roar louder than the other person. But when you understand that your character strength is humility, you have the ability to change the temperature in the room when you accepted that, okay, we're in this room for a reason. Let's sit down. Let's introduce ourselves. Let's check the temperature in the room, and let's all sit down and let's listen. Because if we sit down and we listen to one another, then we have the ability to learn from each other. You can be a lion and still be in a room with other lions, and they will still have the ability to hear your roar. But you're not in the room as a lion amongst other lions to be the king in the room, because you already know that you a king. You don't have to flex and to tell people that, oh, I'm a king or I'm a queen. You a queen by the way you rule yourself. You a queen by the way you walk. You are a king by the way you walk. You are a king by the way your foundational principles of people seeing who you are and what you do. That is a character strength that you have, and a character strength that you possess, that nobody is going to take that away from you, and no one is striving to take that away from you. But when you understand that that's your character strength of humility, you can go in any room, you can go in any setting and still maintain the who that you are, and not feel that you have to go into a room and flex in order for someone to understand that you're in that room and you're present. Humility will sit you down and say, you know what? I'm just here to learn and to be an asset, and to be obedient in the room. Humility will allow you to be obedient. I probably should have made that a fifth one. Humility will allow you to be obedient to the message that's in the room. Humility will allow you to be obedient to the reason or the reasoning of what's going on either in the room or what's going on at that particular moment, because it probably was never about you from the beginning. But humility would allow you to accept that it wasn't about you. Humility is a character strength, y'all, and you have to understand that it really makes you stronger. It really does, especially when you look at it from a realistic point of view. Humility will beef you up. It's like lifting weights. Humility will beef you up to where you're like, oh man, I feel empowered. And you have the ability to empower others in the room only because you took the high road of acceptance. I'd rather you flex your character strength of humility than to flex your dominance in the room, because that dominance is really a component of pride. that can destroy everything in the room because no one wanted to be humble enough to listen, or no one wanted to be humble enough to understand the reason on why you were in the room in the first place. Again, acceptance. Acceptance. All right, and enhancement. And when I began to understand and break down enhancement and being the strength in the room, it really changed some of the things, and a lot of the things that I've begun to learn, not just about myself, that I've begun to learn about other things and what other people say too, as far as saying. So I have a question, and I'm very interested in hearing your response and hearing your answer. How many of you have heard, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room? That's my question for you. Have you ever heard that? If you're the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room. How do you feel about that? Do you feel if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room? What's your response to that? So let me shed a little bit of light on that. If you are the smartest person in the room, humility can actually keep you in there. Because humility will make room for you. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, then your humility may actually activate other people's gift. Have you ever thought about it from that perspective? Because if you're the smartest person in the room and you extract yourself from the room and you move on and you go into a whole nother setting, what about the people that's in the room that you left? Who did you leave in the room that you were probably placed in that particular room to ignite the gift into someone else, that allowed you to ignite that person that is going to be a much better person? Why? Because you have enhanced the strength in the room. Because that might have been your calling to be in that particular room, but you have heard and talked about or listened to everybody else when they said, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you in the wrong room. Nah, you might be in the correct room, because you may have been sent to that room to enhance the strength of the room itself, or to bring out the character strengths in everyone else, because that person may, that the person or the people that is in that particular room may have never been exposed to the experience that you have been exposed to. But you want to listen to everybody else to say, if you're the strongest person or the smartest person in the room, then you need to extract yourself from that room and move on to go somewhere else. Have you thought about it? You can be in two rooms. You don't have to leave that other room of the other people and the other individuals just to go be in a whole nother setting, because you may be the power in the room that ignites and to turn on the idea, or to build on the confidence and the strength in the other room. Because you never know what you're going to birth by staying inside of that room. And I'm sure we've heard the words, or we heard the things that has been said when it says your gift will make room for you. You know what? You're right. Your gift will make room for you, but your humility will keep you in the room. Your gift will make room for you, but your humility will keep you there. And that right there was an aha moment for me to understand, yeah, your gift will make room for you, but what's going to keep you inside the room? Because if you're the strength in the room, then you're going to stay inside the room because you're enhancing the temperature in the room, or you have accepted that I am in this room to listen. And because I am in this room to listen, then I possess the enhancement of the ability to learn. Because of my gift got me in here, and my humility keeps me in here. My humility keeps me going, or my humility keeps me coming back, because I've understand that my character strength may be to build other people up. And that's where you have to then acknowledge that particular thing for yourself. All right, number 4 is principles. The principle component of humility, your foundational beliefs or behaviors. Again, we can go back to the room. What are your foundational principles by being in certain rooms or in certain settings that you're in? Because again, if you're a natural person, or having that natural character strength, and you are the humility in the room, then your foundational principles have the ability to rub off on someone else to make them feel empowered. Why? Because of your foundational principles and beliefs and or behaviors. When people see you do the things that you do, again, you can be in the room amongst other lions and still be king, because no one is taking your crown from you. No one is taking your strength. No one is taking your abilities, but someone can take on the foundational principles that you have, because you have exemplified those foundational principles, and people can have the ability to, you know what? I believe in me because you showed me something greater than what I was before I walked in this room. No one paid attention to me. Before I walked in this room, no one had spoken to me all day. Before I walked inside of this room, everyone that I had came in contact with on my way to the room have denied me of who I am, because that person may not have been strong enough to take on the weight and the pressure that someone had put on them before they even got to the room, before they even got to the meeting. And because you came with those foundational principles of listening and being teachable and understanding the temperature in the room, you had the ability to what? Enhance the room by providing them with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because they understood that we're all here to learn. We're not here to flex. I know you a king. I know you a queen. I know you a boss, whatever it is you want to call yourself. But let's go inside this room and let's build. Let's go inside this room and let's learn from one another. Because at the end of the building session, it's humanity who wins. It's the community who wins again, because everyone understood the principles and the foundational reasons why we went into the room, or the foundational reasons why we had this meeting to begin with, because we are enhancing everything and everyone that's in the room. We are acknowledging that we all have something to learn, because we all have something that we can teach. We are all remaining to be lifelong learners and being students. Humility is going to teach you that, and humility is going to keep you in the room. Again, your gifts, yes, it got you to the room. Humility, yes, will keep you in the room, but humility is your character strength, because if someone understands that, man, that person empowers me every time I see them. It takes humility to allow someone else to say, or to be humble enough to say, man, every time I see you, you empower me. Lady, every time I see you, you empower me. You give me energy. You give me energy. That's humility. But the best thing that I've found, that I've learned, Proverbs 11:2. It said, when pride comes, then comes disgrace. But when humility comes, humility comes with wisdom. And because humility comes with wisdom, you will definitely understand that it's not about you, and you do have the ability to learn. You do have the ability to teach, and you are a lifelong learner. But the best part is you can still be you. You don't have to take on the shape of no one else. Why? Because you have placed humility on display. Be the best you, and don't worry about what other people are saying or what other people have said of you. Because remember, humility is foundational, and it is a character strength. It's not a sign of weakness. Be wary of those who exemplify false humanity, those who want to play the martyr, trying to show and display humility, but it's really them playing the martyr. But your wisdom will tell you what it is when you see it, when you can identify it on false humility. Hey, y'all be blessed. Drop your comments. Do whatever you do. For those that are watching on the replay, and remember, consistency is key. The more you do it, the more repetition that you have with it, the more you acknowledge your character strength of humility, it will definitely create a currency and be current on your blessing. Celebrate your small victories, and consistency will create it. Peace.